Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 377. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Monday, January the 8th.
It is.
2018. Because we're old. And
how does that make us old? It's just the date.
Well, the last number of the year matches the last number in my age. So I'm 38 this year.
Yeah, I understand how that works for you. It doesn't work for me.
It makes me old.
Oh.
It doesn't work for Michael either. You and Michael are the same age.
Things that make me old are like, I was having a conversation with a coworker about the Tanya Harding. Did we already discuss this on the podcast?
Not on the podcast.
Alright, so I was having a discussion with a coworker about the Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan. They just made some movie based on it. I, Tanya, I think is the name of it. And I got in the New Sports Illustrated and they talk about it in there, and I was talking to a coworker. One of our other coworkers was standing near and she's like, I don't know those people that you're talking about. And I was like...
Now, I don't know much about ice skating or sports in general, but I do know.
Okay.
Because that happened when I was in high school.
Then we had to look it up. Did it happen when you were in high school? It happened in 94.
Yeah.
So, okay, you were a freshman in high school. It happened when I was in middle school. Because I was in 8th grade, so not that I'm a ton younger than you. But,
holy Jesus.
Then she told me that she was 2 when that happened, and my coworker and I both looked at her and told her she was no longer allowed to talk in adult conversations.
You know what's funny is I was always the youngest in the IT groups, and so I used to be that obnoxious person that was like, I wasn't even born yet. And now I'm not anymore, so turnabout is fair play.
We're still the youngest in our knit group, though.
Well, yeah, but, I was going to say by, 20 years,
no,
but that's not true.
That's not true.
Holly and Lowell and, what's her face with the dogs? Jamie.
Jamie's about our age. But, Gail and Eloise would talk about how Memorial Day did you know that Memorial Day used to be, a day?
Right.
It wasn't,
rather than
the
last Monday.
I didn't realize it, and it changed in, before we were born.
Yeah. I remember them talking about it.
So, I always used to give them grief that Memorial Day's on Monday.
Because you're so friendly and considerate.
I'm a friendly, kind individual.
I was going to keep my hair down, but that vent is blowing right on. Mother cracker! Use your long arms and get that
oh my goodness
hair fork.
Okay. Well, if you talk.
Okay. So this is a knitting show most of the time. Thank you. And I will show you the knitting that I am working on. I am working on some turtle. This was last month's random, unofficial self-striping. This is Turtle Pearl in the trench coat colorway, which I'm pretty sure is a nod to Burberry.
It is, because it used to be called Burberry, and then she changed it to trench coat so that she doesn't get in trouble, I think.
So it's still a baby sock. It's just a cuff. It's 3 inches long.
Baby sock.
If that.
It's dreaming about growing up and being a real sock.
Yeah. I do not know if it's going to be a sock or a wrister.
Yeah. The last time we spoke, you said it was going to be a wrister.
Right, but I only cast on 64 stitches, and that's enough for most people. But I have very fat feet, so this wouldn't work for me for a sock. This could work for me for a wrister, but I don't know. I might just knit a pair of socks in a size 8, 8.5 and give them away at SSK or something. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
I haven't decided. But I'm just knitting straight on it right now.
Okay.
On 2.25 millimeter needles, which is a US size 1.
You and your large needles.
And they actually feel so small. I'm having to readjust.
Because you're knitting the giant thing on size 19s.
Yeah, 17s. And that's mostly done, so I'll show that real quick. It needs to be blocked, which I was going to bring it to knit night.
So this is the Jord lace vest.
Yes.
You can use my blocking wires.
That's what I was hoping. Well, I don't need the wires. I just need the space on your boards.
Okay. You're allowed to do that.
Because
that means I'll have to clean my guest room.
You really don't.
People can't get in. Well, it was used as, those boards were used as the Christmas present like
Staging
wrapping area.
area.
So I do have.
Okay.
I still have some Christmas gifts left to send because it's only the 9th or 8th of January.
Well, I finished the knitting part of the Jord lace vest. So right now it just looks like a big mass. It is way too hot for me to put this on right now. But I do need to block it and then sew on buttons because the way it's got these big sort of flappy lace panels that you can button up
different ways
against like the shoulders if you'd like. I'll show this pattern. Yeah.
A natural wood button would look nice with that.
Well, I found these that Heartfelt Handspun sent us.
Oh!
Ages back.
No, I love that.
And
that's perfect.
Yeah, these like polymer clay, gorgeous red buttons. But this is the pattern. It took every single yard of my Hair Spilled Designs turbine.
But you swatched the second time with my stuff.
Me too, because otherwise I would have been unraveling that swatch. Like, I literally had less than a yard left. I was very concerned.
So when I knit the shawl, I ran short and I had to buy another skein, but I had what it called for. Did you have what it called for? Like, what was the yardage supposed to be for your size?
So, keeping in mind I did not check row gauge. I only checked stitch gauge.
Okay.
But it called for...
Because I got gauge on mine.
525 yards.
Okay, and how many yards did you have?
Sorry. This is why we can't have nice things.
Well, there's various reasons why we can't have nice things.
So each skein is 110 yards. So I should have had 660 yards. So
I'm telling you,
skeins.
I would always buy an extra skein of the turbine. Always.
I did like working with it, although it was very drying on my hands. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a little abrasive. Because like, I've got like a little...
It's not a... yeah, you have your spot. It's not a fine wool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's meant to be an I wouldn't say outerwear, but not like a next to skin layer.
Yeah, I would definitely consider it more of an outer layer piece.
So, the knitting on it is done. I got super sick of knitting on it after a while.
You knit on it like a week.
I know, but it's like 12, it's a 12-row chart, and for my size, you have to knit that chart 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
This way, and then I had to knit it 4 times across. So I knit that chart 48 times.
So my charge for you blocking at my house is I want to try it on when it's done.
That's fine. It'll probably be big on you, but
no,
I have no objection to you trying it on.
I want to try it on and see if it might be something that I'd be interested in knitting.
I think it would be fun to spin it, or to knit in a hand spun.
God, I would never spin that thick though. I'd have to do like a 9-ply to get my plies that thick.
I could spin thick for you.
Could you?
I'd have to do like a 3-ply to make it that thick, but I could do it.
I have some fleece that would work.
But yeah, and I thought this would be a good one for a fleece too, because it's
a woolen spun especially.
Yeah, because this is water spun, which is closer to woolen than worsted. I feel like it's more airy.
It's got a halo to it.
And it's not heavy. It's actually pretty light.
Brooklyn Tweed Quarry would probably also be a good choice.
Yeah, that would have been a good choice as well. So the knitting part is done. I've just got to do the sew the buttons on, and we'll block it and sew the buttons on, and then I'll take a picture like I did before with the sweaters. So that
you know what else would be fun in a crazy way is the Malabrigo Rasta would also be fun to knit that out of.
Or that caracol that's like a thread ply around.
That would be insane, but so much fun.
Yeah. But super expensive, because that stuff's like $20 for 50 yards or something.
Yeah, it says the Ross is like 75 yards. But maybe it's 100.
Anyhow, so that's going with me to knit night on Wednesday so that I can get it blocked.
I will clean that room so
I just do not have enough flat space here that would not be inhabited by an animal. So
we're going to have to figure out... I'm going to have to buy... So when I broke my dishpan that I usually soak in, And so when I bought my new dishpan, I got the smaller size because I bought it to do dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I can't dump a lot of water down my drain because the
that's
overflow
right.
is not attached to anything.
I can soak it and then
But
bring it over there damp.
You can do that just wrapped in a towel,
Yeah.
or I can go out and buy a tub, which I'm going to do anyways.
But the problem isn't the size of the tub, it's the draining it down.
Yeah, but we can wash it in the guest bath.
And drain it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the bathtub there.
I can just bring over. I have lots of tubs, so I can just bring one over.
Okay.
But,
Problem solved.
yeah. So, that's all my knitting. Now it's your turn to talk.
Oh, okay.
Go you.
Go me. I have 3 things. 3? Yes, I have 3 things on the needles. So I am also knitting on a pair of Turtle Pearl self-striping socks in the Aim to Misbehave colorway. They are through, so the first sock is totally done, which is good because this is a Christmas present for my grandmother. So the first sock, totally done.
Cool.
It's been done for a while.
Okay.
I showed it
still
done before.
cool.
But yeah, still cool. Second sock is almost through the second set of yellow stripes. There are a total of 5 sets of yellow stripes on this. So it's like 2 fists almost to the way done. And at the end of the yellow stripes is when I start my increases for, this is Wendy Johnson's gusset heel. So I start some increases on the heel side. So hopefully I will get it through the heel this week. And then I just have to zip up the leg. I'm only spending like 15 minutes a night knitting on this. If that, like, my goal is like 3 hours a week, basically. Last week I got around 4 hours in because I took it to work because we had some work days.
Yeah.
So I got 4 hours in at meetings when we didn't have kids, but now we have kids. So, yes. You and I have different... No, actually, I was really happy to have kids because when there's no kids there, like, I like my coworkers, but...
Not enough to spend time with them voluntarily?
No, I like my coworkers, but after a couple of days, like, I'm ready for kids. Like, I teach for children, not for adults.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for kids to be back, and I'm ready to get back in the groove of things. So that is the first thing on my needles, and that is living in a fat squirrel pigeon bag. Pigeons! My sister is obsessed with pigeons. I'm quasi-obsessed with pigeons.
That's what she got when I got this tattoo, my knitting stitch tattoo. Beck went with me. No, that was this one. I went and got the watercolor tattoo.
No, it was your knit stitch tattoo.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. It was the first time
Because this
you
was
went
the
there.
first year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Beck went and got, Beck is Laura's sister.
Yep.
Went and got, instead of like sparrows, she got 2 pigeons on her shoulders here. They look great. I love them.
She has a chair here.
Yeah. It's like an Eames chair or something, right? It was like the first patented something.
You have it exactly correct, my friend. Whatever. And then I wanted to cast on something
Is this Woolfolk?
new. Yes.
Oh.
So I've been hoarding some yarn, and this was a set that I've been hoarding, and then I have some cashmere that I've been hoarding for a long time. Like, my mom bought it for me when I was 18, and I've never done cashmere. I've never done a project. So I would like to use some of my precious skeins this year. So I pulled out the Woolfolk yesterday. I got this at SKP.
Is this far?
This is far. It's a chainette yarn.
Mm-hmm. That is, it's a merino.
But it feels like a cashmere.
It is unbelievably soft.
Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 colors that I got. And I only got 1 skein of each. And I was trying to figure out what I could do that still reminded me of like SKP. So Joji Locatelli's got a pattern called the button tab hat, and it's this hat that's a beret, and it's like striped after here, and you do a little button tab. So that's what I'm doing. The only issue is because this is a chainette, when you do the button tab, you have to pick up stitches and then knit basically a tab around and then reattach those stitches. And with the chainette, I'm a little bit worried about picking up the stitches. So I was thinking about doing an afterthought tab.
Yeah.
So just knitting like 4 stitches or whatever it calls for with waste yarn, then going back and doing those, and then you pick up on the wrong side. So picking up the bottom layer, taking it to the wrong side on a double point, and knitting it down and up, and then grafting it to the live stitches at the top. Does that sound dumb?
No.
Okay. I feel like this could be an epic disaster.
Whatever.
But we'll see.
It'll be fodder for the show.
It will be, but I don't want to mess this up. And I have to do a jogless jog at one point. But right now it's just some twisted rib, because I love some twisted rib.
Love the way it looks. It is a pain to knit.
So I started this yesterday. I wound the yarn yesterday. It's lovely, and I'm savoring this project. It's not going to be one that I like fly through, although I might if I really get into it. Or I could just leave off the tab and have like a striped beret.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I wanted to do one of Hohi's patterns. I'm going to see how I feel. Because I can always add the tab later if I decide. I mean, it's the last thing you add, so I could go all the way and then see how I feel.
Out of that, but I don't know where I put it.
I thought you were going to give it to Michael. The hat.
No, it's too purple. He'd never wear it.
I thought it was because I almost called you to see if you had leftovers.
I do have a little bit of purple and white.
In this purple?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Not a lot, but...
Well, that's good to know.
About a quarter of a skein, maybe.
And this would be a good pattern for hand spun as well, because it uses, like, bits and bobs. So, you could do some interesting ones. This is a worsted that I'm knitting on size 3 needles.
Oh.
And it's not feel it. It's not super dense either.
Do you go up in needle size when you after you get past the ribbing? Oh my goodness!
Like normal people would be a 4 and a 5.
Yeah, or 5 and a 6. Because worsted on 5s for me would be bulletproof.
No, this is not bulletproof.
Feels good though.
Like you can see spaces.
Yeah.
You pull it apart. Like it's not bulletproof. Yeah. Oh no, I love it. It's like. So then I was looking who else sells it, because I might need to get some more.
It is
at some point.
Woolfolk is very conscientious in what yarn they make, and I feel like it makes their yarn better.
Oh yeah,
because they're very thoughtful of what yarns they produce.
Now they do more of a neutral palette.
I agree.
There's never going to be any like neon pink that just pops up.
Right.
But I mean, you could always buy the white and dye it neon pink if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is my Savor project. And that is living in the SSK bag from this year. My Fat Squirrel Fibers. And then the last thing, are you ready for this blast from the past?
Oh goodness.
Because I'm trying to work on some older projects. Yeah.
Drift or something?
Quicksand.
Quicksand, okay.
So, this is quicksand. I think I'm going to run out of yarn on it, though.
Oh, no.
So...
Can you make it shorter sleeves or something?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. This is quicksand. It's a Heidi...
Vermeer?
Yeah, pattern. And I have enough yarn according to the thing, the sizing, I have enough yarn. And I did do a gauge swatch back in June when I tried this on. But it's just not growing super fast. So things that I love about this sweater is it's got like a line of increases that kind of goes out from the neckline.
It makes it sort of a yoke detail.
Yeah, it's a yoke detail. And then the front, actually, you're increasing out on the front. So the longer you make it, the more increases out.
Yeah.
And then there's short rows to actually make the back longer than the front.
Oh, cool.
So when I originally started this, I thought that I would have enough yarn to get through the short, like the body, and then I would have a skein for each of the sleeves. I think I might have half a skein for each of the sleeves. And then the front, you're supposed to just pick up and do just like a very, like a 1-row crochet, basically. It's not a crochet, but just like pick up and then bind off.
But why? Because there's so much stockinette, it's going to roll anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you do a significant band, it's going to roll.
Some people are doing a whatchamacallit on it. I-cord.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have enough yarn. I could do it in like a contrast gray. Like I could get some worsted and do like a dark gray.
I just feel like you've got so much roll on that.
No, it's going to roll anyways.
I don't know that an I-cord's going to improve it.
And she doesn't like, I'm going to block it.
Right, yeah.
And when I'm done with it, I'm going to block it. Because I would do that anyways before I would do a band probably. And I'm going to see how much yarn is left. And I'm going to see how I like it blocked, because a lot of people have done no treatment, because originally I was thinking about picking up and doing like a garter band, but no one else has done that. Not to say that it can't be done, but right now it's at 14 inches the waist, and I need, for me, like the pattern calls for it to be 15, but I think
Laura has a long torso.
It more like 17 with the short rows. I'm gonna I like where this vest hits me that I'm wearing today, so I think I'm gonna like measure this.
But did you measure before and after blocking? So do you know how much this is gonna grow?
It's not gonna grow much. Maybe, but that's back in June. I can't remember. I don't think the swatch grew at all.
This has got a lot more weight on it.
Ooh, I should look for the swatch, because it was like a 6-inch swatch. Where did I put that swatch?
I don't know, but I would perhaps preemptively block it and see how much, because that's got a lot of weight on it.
It does have a lot of weight. Maybe I'll do 17 inches. Maybe I'll keep it at the 15, because I can always pick up. Well, the problem is I can't just pick up. I'd have to cut above the short rows, knit down, and then reattach. And I'm alternating skeins. This is a BFL Erin from that place in Canada, Fleece Artist, that I bought like 10 years ago, and it's gray.
Yeah, it's a pretty mottled gray,
like a gray and oatmeal.
Yeah,
I like gray.
I feel like you would get a lot of wear out of that if you get it to the right length and you add just a little bit of length on the sleeves.
Yeah, I like the sleeves to go
length.
like here.
Is that Irma?
Yeah, this is an Irma.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of wear out of it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I can. So, how much yarn I have left? This much yarn left for the body, which is not enough.
It's not a ton.
And then, but the skeins are fairly large.
Yeah.
So I probably could get enough out of, if I can do at least one skein for the sleeves, which I should have.
Is this your last skein?
No, I have one more.
Oh, okay. Then you have plenty.
Yeah. And I can always use a contrast and like crochet or have someone crochet around. We'll see how it goes. I know the sleeve holes are like huge, so I'm going to decrease pretty rapidly starting on those as soon as they get picked up. But I'd rather have the right body length than have more sleeve length, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you're going to layer it anyway. It's not something that you can wear by itself. Unless you are just...
I can't wear this by
You're
myself.
okay with things showing.
Oh, man.
And if you are, rock on with your bad self.
And I'm knitting these on size 8 needles, which is very large for me.
It really is. I'm surprised you even own needles that large.
Enormous. I'm knitting something else on 9. Oh, the baby sweater I just finished, I knit on 9s.
Yeah.
Do you have finished items?
No.
I'm very disappointed.
I know. I mean, I did finish 2 sweaters last week, but really that's no excuse.
And there's no excuse. I finished the knitting on the baby sweater. So this is the snug baby sweater, and I have to seam it still. And this is how much I have left. So I used 3 skeins of Knit Picks Big O.
And this is that you did the hood for it and everything?
I just need 2 weave-in ends and then tack down the sew that hood down in the back.
Yeah.
I picked the center line already. And if I was to knit this again, I'd do a few different things, and we'll talk about that in a second. I do need some hand help. So this is snug. Let's pretend like that hood's attached in the back. That's how it would look. I did do the sleeves a little bit longer because I feel like with babies, you can always roll them up.
Oh, yeah.
An inch. So they're around an inch longer than what they were called for. If I used, instead of a Kitchener Garter Kitchener, I did a 3-needle bind off on the back of the hood. And if I was to do this again, I think as I was knitting this, I would pick up a stitch off the body of the sweater and kind of do like an applied hood. Like, you know how you do an applied edging? Mm-hmm. You could totally do that with this hood.
You could also just selvage all the edges. Instead of knitting the first stitch of every row, just slip it purlwise, and then it would be easier to...
They were slipped knitwise, specifically in the pattern.
Oh, wow. Just if you were to knit it again, you could...
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to knit this one again.
It does seem a little...
So, what was interesting was there were 2 provisional cast-ons in this. The hood was provisionally cast on. So it was a big rectangle when you all saw it last. And it had afterthought arms. Mm-hmm. So you seam the top of the sweater right here. So that's already been seamed. And then you pick up and then knit down and garter in the round. Same on this side. And then you pick up the front bands that were put on holders, then provisionally cast on this part of the hood, like right here. And then you work your way out for this front band and the front of the hood. Then you pick up those stitches again, work your way back, and then I did a 3-needle bind off because I thought it looked neat and I didn't need to be Kitchenering and garter. But I have, as a result, like a crap ton of ends to weave in. And then I have buttons to sew on and crochet loops to do.
Sweater is a lot of work.
It is, but I got 3 skeins out of my stash.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally... The yarn, which is the Big O, is pilling a lot, so... But once it's out of my hands, it's out of my hands.
Does it have a recipient, or is it going in the box?
It's going in the box.
Laura has a box that she keeps... a proverbial box. I don't...
No, it's an actual box. Okay. It's like a Tupperware, like...
That she keeps, like, extra hand knit.
Yeah, it's like your gallon right there.
Or proverbial box is now the episode title.
It's a real box. And I knit this on my Likey interchangeables and my Likey double points. And it was perfect for an interchangeable set because I would just provisionally cast onto the cord, and then I used the holders for everything. And so that's probably the most that I've ever used holders, because I had 2 fronts on holders, and then I had the back of a hood on a holder, and it was
easier than one because you just have to screw on the needles when you're ready to.
Oh yeah. And because the Likeys, I have the short and the long sets. I had 2 sets of 9s, so, and it was on size 9s. So I used all the needles. But yeah, a little bit of finishing work left to do. Hopefully, I have off Monday, so hopefully this week it'll get done.
Oh, I do too.
You do?
It's the only, like...
holiday that's not Christmas or Easter? Did you get another holiday?
I hate to say Christmas? Lesser holiday, but when you think about lesser celebrated holiday,
okay,
here Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Monday is, and I'm trying to see.
Could we call it a political holiday?
Nah, I guess. But they're looking for volunteers at the Lorraine Motel on Monday.
Oh, really?
The Martin Luther King, the National Civil Rights Museum.
Yes, which is amazing. If you're ever in Memphis, it is a must-see. Yeah, like, that and the zoo for me would be the 2, like, these are the 2 places. Now, Gibson Guitar, also cool. Graceland,
Sun
you know,
Studios,
you do you.
Depending.
Sun Studios. The National Metalworks Museum is also... But you know what else is really interesting? That graveyard.
Elmwood Cemetery.
Elmwood Cemetery, also a good place to visit if you have time in Memphis. Because it does, like, the entire history of Memphis could be taught through a tour of Elmwood. There's everywhere from Tuskegee Airmen buried there to female spies from the Civil War to yellow fever victims from the 1700s to people who died in that when that boat went down in the Mississippi River, it was like the largest naval disaster in fresh water in the United States. Anyway.
Cool.
That's all I got.
You're very knowledgeable in the Memphis area.
Go on a lot of field trips.
That's true.
I know that's shocking to you. And some I go on multiple times. Like, the zoo is the best. The zoo is my favorite of the field trips, as long as it's not raining. Because you get to see pandas.
You do.
Pandas are
Our
pretty
pandas
cool.
in Memphis are pretty lazy.
Well, I don't know that there are non-lazy pandas.
They just kind of sit with all their bits out and eat their bamboo, and they're just like, whatevs.
Yeah, they're too lazy to make baby pandas. They keep trying.
Yeah.
Aww, poor pandas. I want to go see the baby hippo's not so much a baby anymore, and we didn't go see it, but we should go. It's supposed to be 65 here this week, so.
I mean, it was 11 the other day, so we're due for a 65-degree day.
Which is why I sound like junk, is because, like, we went from 11 degrees to 50 today.
Yeah. Our pond was frozen over yesterday. Not so much today.
Slush. And we're supposed to get snow on Friday when it's 40 degrees outside, and I don't know a lot about the weather. But.
Do you think the temperature needs to be freezing in order for that water to stay frozen?
Well, like, it gets colder up higher in the air,
right.
But
But it would become rain as it
yes.
lowers itself into the atmosphere.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
All
and
right.
then Tuesday we're supposed to get snow as well.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't ever pay. If we're going to get snow and it's imminent, Michael will tell me. I don't care otherwise. So.
The children
yeah.
are excited.
Yeah, I did get an email from the DeSoto County schools today about inclement weather policies.
Yeah, they
and I
send
wondered
that out
what,
usually the
what
week before.
prompted that, but anyway, I have no spinning, but you have some spining.
Oh, or spinning. Oh.
I'll fix that for you.
Will you fix that misspelling for me? I don't like your keyboard. It irritates me.
It has keys and stuff.
But not keys that work well.
They work well. She just doesn't like because it's got a trackpad built into it.
Trackpad.
And so it acts weird.
Also, like my Mac, I can 2-finger swipe, and I can't do that on hers, and it drives me nuts.
I got a 2-finger swipe for you.
I've been spinning 15 minutes a day, and I've been spinning on some bats from Joanna Spring. So this is the first. I actually finished the second bobbin as well, but it's still on the wheel. This was spun on my Shocked Reeves. It is spun long draw. It's got lots of extra twists to it, which is fine. And I am going to ply it this week and see what we get. It's got some sparkle in it, some silk and oil. It just makes me very happy. So I've been spinning on that 15 minutes a day. And then I am going to start... I've also been spinning on my patchwork kit that I started for my owl. So I have around 2 ounces done on that. But I owe a Patreon prize. So next week we'll do the Patreon drawing for December. And so I pulled out some fiber clip from November. This is Struck Blind by Hello Yarn. It is a South American wool blend top. So it's got purples and like a rust and some greens. So I'm going to spin that up into like a DK weight 2-ply. So yeah. That is the spinning plan. I would like to get at least 4 ounces of the patchwork kit spun and plied this week and while I'm off so that I can get started on knitting that blanket. Really like to get, I'm supposed to get like 9 ounces spun and plied and knit before the end of February. I'd like to get a good start on that. That's my halfway point on my owl. So I would like to get a good chunk of that done. But I'd also like to finish the sweater while it's cold. And 1 inch on the sweater, which is 6 rows, is taking me around 2 hours.
Wow. It's just stockinette, though.
Stockinette on big needles. I don't know what the deal is, but it's taking forever. Well, because it's like 50 inches across.
Are you counting all the time that you're playing on your phone, too, or...?
No, I haven't been playing on my phone. Much. Maybe. That could be part of it. I was watching the Bills lose, unfortunately, to Jacksonville.
That's a football?
It is football.
Okay.
It was the first time they were in the playoffs since 2000.
So, do we know who the Super Bowl teams are?
No, so last week was the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
And then this week is like the top 4 from each division. And so after this weekend, you will. So we know it's going to be either the Patriots, the Steelers.
Oh, so you're still in contention.
Yes. The Jacksonville Jaguars or the Tennessee Titans for AFC. And then for NFC, it is some people we don't care about.
Okay.
The Saints, the Vikings, the Eagles, and someone won on Saturday, and I can't remember who. Yeah. A team that plays football in the NFC.
Someone's yelling at us right now.
It's not LA. It was LA, whoever they played. Man, and I was watching that game for a little bit too, and then it bored me, so I turned it off.
Mm.
I was watching it without sound, because at some point, I just need without sound. Anyway.
So, we do have a book review.
We do! So, a while back, Woolly Wormhead sent us her 2 new collections, and they are amazing, and I keep wanting to cast them on, but they are all out of fingering weight, so it's and a little bit more complicated. These are patterns that I would not say are beginner. They're definitely
you
ones
have
that
to be
will
an
make
adventurous beginner.
They're ones that are going to make you think. And this is circled. It retails for $16 US.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 10 pounds on Woolly's site. And it is 4 hat patterns that are knit sideways. My first book that I ever bought from Woolly, her first book, period, was a sideways knit hat pattern book. So she's been doing sideways knit hats for a long time.
Yeah, and she's sort of got like the PhD on hat construction.
I feel like that.
Any
for sure.
kind of construction that you can imagine, she's probably written a pattern or a book.
And done it really well.
Yeah. So this one has got 4 patterns and lots of tutorials. So like the first 13 pages are tutorials.
And they're picture tutorials. So they're photo tutorials on stuff like grafting slip stitches across garter stitch.
Right.
Grafting German short rows and garter stitch.
So I'll just pick
doing
one.
Garter stitch and stuff. So you can see very clearly what's going on.
Right. And if you have, you would purchase this in a digital format, or you could do paper probably. And then you can, I love having it in digital form because you can just zoom in.
Yeah.
And you can get a better look at what stitches need
What's
to
actually
go
going
where.
on.
Right. So
you can do the pinch thing if you have an iPad.
Isn't that fancy?
Super fancy.
Actual size. Oh, no, that's not what we want. Look at me not knowing how to do things. Fit height. There we go.
There you go. So there are 4 patterns.
Mm-hmm.
They are very similar to each other, but also very different.
So I did just want to touch on, I mean, there are all these tutorials you can see listed here on the side, but she goes into depth with a lot of specific things that you may not have a lot of luck finding elsewhere, like grafting and garter stitch with short rows. Like very specific things, which I kind of want to knit a hat just so I can learn how to graft.
I love
garter
these hats,
with
and I
short rows.
think they lend themselves well to variegated sock yarn. So if you have a large variegated sock yarn or tonal sock
Speckled.
yarn stash, or any, I think besides self striping, would work really, really well for these.
I would be curious to see how they look in self striping. Because of the construction.
Yeah, you're going to get wedges, like very distinct wedges. But the first pattern is circled. All these patterns do call for fingering weight yarn. Mm-hmm. She does recommend you swatch because what you're going by is the row height.
It's row gauge is more important than stitch gauge in these particular patterns.
Yeah.
Which is a different, because you're making them in wedges sideways. Mm-hmm. So
the wedges are charted. As well as written, I believe. They're considered panels. Mm-hmm. And there's also...
so you've got written instructions as well as some charts.
Yep.
And having the digital version of this is super useful because you can zoom in and print out parts and tape them together to make a big one.
Yeah, so if we click on Circled 2, this is the construction on that
Yeah,
one.
and this one's got more of a concentric ring.
I love that she photographed these from above, but also on a model. And then with 3.
And this one's sort of broken concentric rings.
I think this one's my favorite. And then there's also 4.
This one I think is more like a one long spiral. So I think this would be the one I would want to knit. And it may just be because it's knit in one of my preferred colors.
Yeah. One thing that's different from her other books is this is only one size. A lot of her other patterns are sized from baby all the way up through adult. This is like a one size fits all. So you want to make sure that you have like that 22-inch head before you start working on this.
Or you would need to do some math to add or remove wedges in order to make it work. Although that might interrupt the spiral effect. So yeah, that is a good point. She usually has a bunch of sizing, but these particular ones come in one size.
And we are huge fans of Woolly's stuff and have reviewed it in the past. And her Bambini's book I use all the time for kids' hats. So this is Circled by Woolly Wormhead. It retails for $16 in the US, 10 pounds. And if you are interested in this type of construction, I think this would be a good one to get, as well as her elemental book. Sort
of stagnant and haven't learned anything new in a while, this might be something to consider. Now you can buy the patterns individually.
You can
for $6, but I do not know whether or not they include those tutorials. I think it's worth. If it's something you're interested in, I think it's worth the $16 for the.
It definitely
for the
would
book.
be a cool one to work your way through as well. So what are you reading, my friend? I think we're reading the same thing.
We are, and it's because...
because I complained about how expensive they were.
Yeah, so it all started with that in December, and Laura had her dad borrow the book from his local library, and it turned out that I had that book. She had talked about it, but she never told me the name of it, so I didn't think about it. But it's the 12 Kingdoms series, which starts with the Mark of Talah, and that's a 3-book series that comes before the Uncharted Realms.
And it also has 4 novellas that go with it as well. One of which was in a collection that I purchased, and that's how I got started on the whole thing to begin with.
It is fantasy.
I would say that they're epic
romance.
Fantasy. They kind of remind me of Mercedes Lackey. If you're into her Vladimir series, they're
although
very
they
similar.
do have sex in them.
Yeah, they do.
That is something to consider. Okay, I've never read Mercedes Lackey, so.
And they also, the third one that you're reading does have an incest/rape scene in it.
Okay.
Just FYI. So there are some more mature themes. These are adult books for sure.
I mean, they are good. They're very interesting, and it's centered around the women, and the women they solve their own problems, which is nice. So I'm reading that, and I'm listening to God's Grave by Jay Kristoff, and this is the sequel to Nevernight, and it's definitely, I would say, young adult or adult. The main character is a member of I can't remember if it's called the Red Church or the Black Church, but the figurehead of the church is Our Lady of Blessed Murder.
Oh.
She's an assassin.
Excellent.
You couldn't figure that out. And the character is late teens, maybe 18, 19-ish. Although when the series started, she was 14 or 15. And it's got a lot of that sort of like teenage snide attitude toward it, you know, coming from the main character. It's done in a relatively entertaining way, so I like it. I'm listening to it. I don't know if I'd like it so much if I was reading it versus listening to it, but I'm listening to that. What about you?
I finished today a really good book. It is The Vanderbeekers of 144 First Streets by Krina Jan Glasser. It is about a family of 5 kids and their parents, and their lease is not being renewed on their brownstone house that they share with 2 other people. And the owner, he lives on the top floor, and he's extremely reclusive, and he's not renewing their lease. And so the kids kind of go on a mission to convince him to let them stay, because it's 5 days before Christmas, and they have to be out by the New Year, and it's a lot. And they've always lived there, and it's a lot. And their father it's in Harlem, and their father's always lived there, and they overhear the parents saying, we'd love to stay in this area, but we can't afford the space. And their father actually repairs computers, which is funny. So they come up with plans and missions to find a way to convince him that they should stay, most of which backfire horrifically. So
in a comic way, or...
Yeah, I mean, it does touch on some sad themes. I'm not going to spoil the book for people, but there's a reason why he's reclusive.
Oh, okay.
And there's a reason why he's kicking them out. And it was really, really good. If you like books like The Penderwicks, which I've talked about before, where it's like family hijinks, but very family friendly, very realistic fiction. Yeah, it's a good one. I enjoyed it immensely. I read it in one afternoon. So definitely one to think about. And it was just published in December, and the sequel has already it's going to be coming out in the summer of this coming year, I believe.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm excited. I enjoy it. I like those type of stories. So it was a good read for me. So yeah. Favorite things. You've been quilting, it says.
Oh, a little bit. So I spent I don't want to say a lot, but probably 10 hours over the course of a week in my crafting room. Most of it trying to reorganize and put things in their, away rather than in giant IKEA bags.
IKEA bags are the way to go.
They are great, but they're not a great permanent storage solution. So, and then I spent maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours actually sewing and quilting some things, but that's one of my goals for 2018 is...
Oh, yeah, we were going to discuss goals today.
Yeah. Oh, we can put that in there, too. So, one thing that I've done is I am part of the fatquartershop.com, just fatquartershop, no the .com, has a monthly... sew sampler, SEW sampler, and you get, I think it's like $25, and you get neat little notions or bits of fabric. Usually you get a small baby or lapped size quilt pattern and the main fabrics for it. You'd need to provide your own background fabric and backing fabric, and a notion, and some thread or something. It's very good value for the $25. I've been in it for maybe 6 months or so, and I'm happy with it. But in one of the boxes, I want to say October or November, they had these little Matchbox quilts.
Oh, cool. Could you do all the ones on the back?
No, it was only
just
this
one
one.
of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 9 total. This was a Moda thing. And
because there are some of those that I really like.
Yeah, the only downside is the finished quilt size is 6 inches by 6 inches.
But you could make those individual blocks.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I pieced the quilt and sewed it together, and now you do hand stitching with this green thread or this blue thread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was looking at the green background.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only maybe a quarter of the way done with hand stitching, because hand stitching is a pain in the butt. Plus, I don't have the right needle for it. It's like a running
stitch.
Yeah, that's all it is. And
it looks like you're using a yarn needle.
It's a Sashiko needle because it was longer than anything else I had, but I'm not convinced that that's my best option, because you have to go through this thick batting and everything else. So
I would just machine quilt that.
Well, but I've already started, and this is embroidery floss. So, although it might be fun to machine quilt it, because I could do some free motion in a small,
Yeah.
Maybe I will. I'll just draw out a couple of things and do that.
But you'd have to get rid of your embroidery floss.
Oh, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That's just easily picked out. Yeah, so maybe I'll do that.
You're picking it out right now. Sorry.
So, maybe I'll have that done next week. But it even came with the binding.
Yeah, I just don't like the blue as much.
Yeah, and it feels too thick, too, against this patterning.
I feel like it's not doing you any favors.
So, I finished that. I need to put this back in my little needle book.
Would you like me to rip that out while you talk?
No.
Okay.
And then the other thing that I've quilted is...
I can't do much with sewing. I can rip some stitches out, yo.
I got these on clearance at Joann last year. And there were 12 individual blocks. And each block came with all the fabric you needed to do it. And it was
like pre-cut,
yeah,
right?
it was pre-cut. So basically all you had to do is press it and sew it and press it and sew it, and each square is 18 inches by 18 inches, which is huge for a square, and you end up with a quilt that's 74 inches by 97 inches. So that's huge.
It sounds perfect for Laura's size.
It does, doesn't it? So I worked on that maybe yesterday. And I did block number 1 ages back. This is block number 2. So I would like to do one a week, and it's really feasible because they're already pre-cut. Really the only thing that takes the time is I've got to move my workstation in such a way, because I've got my sewing machine set up in front of me, and Michael fixed it so it's a drop-in, right? So it's level with the surface, which is great. And then I've got my pressing on the left, because I'm right-handed. So my pressing board and a small cutting board are on the left, but they're just far enough away from each other that I have to move my chair every time between the two stations.
Why can't you move your pressing to this table over here?
But
I mean, that makes it farther away, but
I have
that
to
would
get
give
up.
you more space. Well, you're gonna.
Constantly.
I mean, you have to move anyways.
So, I was thinking about getting
You get a swivel chair.
a rolly chair. Yeah. The only thing about that is I would need to get one where I can put the brake on, because
or you can get one like mine that doesn't have the wheels.
If you've ever, maybe, yeah.
From IKEA.
Because if you have a rolly chair and you push on a sewing machine pedal, you push yourself back.
That's interesting.
Constantly.
No, you could get one do you want to borrow my chair?
No.
You can take it on Monday and borrow it to see if it's something you like.
No.
Or Wednesday when I see you. Today's Monday.
Yeah, maybe I'll look into a swivel chair or swivel stool, whatever. Because it's not like I use the back of the chair, because I'm always, moving forward. Anyway, and I would also like to make a couple of tops this year, because I got plenty of fabric, plenty of patterns. I just need to do it. It's like a fear of failure that's keeping me from doing it. So.
No way, you can totally do it.
Amy Beth does such a good job with hers that I just want her to make me one.
Maybe if you want enough, that'll
That's
happen.
That's Laura's method. Her quilt.
So I've gotten every quilt I have.
I'm so cool. But
cold
you know
in my
what?
house.
I don't care, because I go over there and I see that they've been used so much that they're ragged. That makes me happy.
My one is super raggedy.
Yeah, that initial one, the It's All About Me one.
Yeah, it's gotten super raggedy.
That one's old. Well, it's 6 years old.
Yeah. It's been peed on and pooped on by Humberto many a time. It's been to the trenches,
So that's my quilting for the week.
Okay. You have a giveaway that we never did, and we said we were going to. And before we forget again, I want to put it in the show notes so that you remember. So, a couple weeks back, right before Christmas, before we stopped recording for Christmas, we had talked about doing the Wicked Chickens as a giveaway.
Yep.
And this is a kit that's done by Rebecca Danger, and she actually did a chicken kit that just came out as well. That's just adorable. But this is her holiday kit, and because I know people are already in the mindset to knit for next holiday, they remember, hey, I just finished this holiday.
This is true.
I want to get some stuff started. So we have that to give away.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that we add that to the show notes before we forget.
Okay.
We do still have the self-striping cal going on. All that is in the Ravelry group. And I also started a bundle for hand spun patterns last week.
I think I have like
200. I need to add some more. My goal was to add some a little bit every day, but I haven't done that in a couple days, so I'm going to get back to it probably
I've got a
tomorrow.
few in my queue that I marked for hand spun, so I'll look and see.
Okay. And anyone who's a member of the group can add to either the self-striping bundle or the hand spun bundle.
I know that there's been a few people who've been adding to the self-striping line.
Oh, good. That is perfect. So there are threads for using hand spun, and there are threads for self-striping. And then you have Australia on here, and I'm not certain what that's all about.
Well, it's more of an idea at this point than anything. So, I had a viewer, Catherine, who got into SSK this year. Her number was pulled in the lottery. And we started chatting via email, and she said, I can't make it work because of the number of days she'd have to take off to account for, like, jet lag,
24 hours,
right?
travel.
The change and all. It wasn't feasible.
Okay.
Which I completely understand and respect, because we've only ever had one person come from Australia, and Tosh,
yeah, and she stayed for quite a bit longer.
Yeah, right, and so that would make sense if you had family in the area or you had other things you were coming to see. I totally get it not being worth coming for just that.
Oh yeah,
but she is maybe the third or fourth person who has mentioned that we should have an event in Australia. And I personally freaking love that idea, because I want an excuse to go to Australia. So I just wanted to throw that idea out in the ether to get feedback on.
I don't know how that would work with like taxes and stuff like that.
The feasibility.
We would really have to research that hardcore.
Right. So when I go to our tax guy this year, because the Knit Girls is an LLC, and because we handle money with SSK, we also...
And donations.
Right. We have a CPA who handles our taxes so that we're not, inadvertently not paying, the tax that we need to be paying. So I'm going to ask him about that, how we would handle international funds and all that sort of thing, because I have no idea.
Because I'm sure he would love to research that for us.
Well, he would know, I would think, because surely we're not the first company in history to consider hosting an event in another country.
I don't know.
But anyway, I just wanted to see if there was enough interest. That's the thing. Like, we would have to have...
If nothing else, we could definitely do a meet and greet in Australia without doing a full event,
well,
probably.
Yeah.
That's not what you wanted to hear, was it?
Because I'm going to be honest. If we had enough interest to host an event in Australia, then the cost of us going there gets factored into the cost of the event, and I don't have to pay for it myself.
No.
I'm just going to be super blunt. Like, I want to go, but if I go by myself, I have to take my husband and my child. If I go for the Knit Girls, I don't have to. So, it's a vast financial difference. Anyway, if you live in Australia near Melbourne or Sydney, and this is something you'd be interested in, it would, at the earliest, it would be the summer of 2019, because these things take time and planning. But just let us know, or maybe you already know of a great event in Australia.
There are some events in Australia.
I know of the sheep and wool, but I mean like retreats. Maybe there's a great other one that we could recommend to people who get in from SSK that might be more financially feasible.
There you go.
Anyway, what else? We
wanted to announce the vendors for SSK. So we do have, I think, the majority of the contracts back.
I'm only missing one.
Okay. So we are going to announce the vendors for the market at SSK. Of course, if you're attending SSK, you get into the market for free.
Yep.
You get to go in the morning. That afternoon, if you're in the Nashville area or want to come into town and do some other sightseeing as well, we do open the market to the public. And we have a bunch of new vendors and a bunch of returning vendors.
Yeah, it's a really good mix this year, I think.
Yeah. We have Hip Strings coming. She's from Pittsburgh. She's been before. She does some gorgeous roving. And she also sells spindles and cotton. She's one of the few people who does, like, cotton.
She has some really fun blends, though.
Yeah, she does have some really fun blends, and she also sells yarn. So she'll be there with her husband.
Nick.
Yes, who wore a kilt last year.
And he's coming for the whole event.
Oh, that's fun.
Because he is actually a knitter.
Oh, see, that's cool. Other people who come for the event, Two Guys Yarn Company,
Jean and David,
also be there. And they just published a really cool, I think Jean just published a really cool shawl pattern that he gifted to me, which looked really interesting as well. So they'll be there. They also do really interesting blends of fiber. They have a lot of their own yarn milled, so they are super fun. And they do
great
tonals.
solids.
Yeah, tonals really, really well. Stranded Dye Works, who is Amy Florence, will be coming from Great Britain. She is loads of fun.
Yes.
And she sells primarily sock yarn, but she also does like a kid silk mohair blend as well. Her colors are fun, they're vibrant, just like she is, and we're super excited to have her back. Ross Farms does naturals. Scooter Pie also wears a kilt, and he and his wife Amy own Ross Farm, which is a heritage farm from 84, Pennsylvania. They do a lot of breed-specific yarns and fibers. They have Hog Island sheep, they have Romneys, they have Shetlands, they have Jacobs, they have all sorts of sheep, and they typically bring fleeces as well. So if you're interested in getting into fleeces,
the unicorn line
of Power Scour and Super the washes
and
as
the
well.
rinses and all that.
And they also do like trunk shows as well in their booth, and shocked wheels. Once Upon a Corgi is a first-time vendor for us.
Yep, yarn primarily.
Primarily a yarn vendor. Camel City.
Camel.
Which I always call Camel City, is coming from North Carolina. Camel City, North Carolina. She's super fun. We met her at SAF, this past year, but the year before. I got some of her self-striping yarn. She also does some very stunning variegated and speckles. Yeah. So she's got some great stuff as well. Rock and String is coming from Kentucky, I believe.
Yes, we had her last year for the first time.
Yeah, and she's returning. She does great self-striping, and she's starting to get into wholesale. Literally things I have been obsessed with Julia's yarn.
That's
her
Vesper yarn.
Vesper yarns since probably 2007.
Since before the podcast.
Since before the podcast. The socks, actually, on the podcast banner are socks that I knit out of her yarn. So I'm wearing her yarn today on my feet.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
That's Sugar Plum Fairy. These socks are at least...
They are so old.
10 years old. And they've still held up. I love her stuff. I'm super excited to meet her in person. She was living in Pittsburgh when I first heard of her, and now she's in the Michigan area. And she's just doing speckles and some other stuff. She's added some bases to her lineup.
She's added a thicker base, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited to meet her for the first time. Whimsy Stitches, Rick from New Orleans, is an incredible bag maker and such a great character, and we love him. We've met him at numerous events.
He's very funny.
I taught him how to knit socks at Vicksburg many, many years ago, and that's how I first met him, and every time I see him, it's a good time. Junk Yarn, who does great speckles, and Shelly Can.
Yeah, who does like enamel pins and other jewelry and stuff like really fun, opinionated stuff.
Oh, good. They're both going to be there. They're sharing a booth space. Gail's Art, who we, of course, love, is known for great fiber, but also her stunning sock blanks.
And gradient yarns.
And just is a wonderful human being and type of person that you can ask any sort of question to, and she's always willing to help other people. And we just love her. Star Knits, I'm super excited. Yeah. She's a new to us vendor. She does bags.
She's been in our group forever. She's been...
she does the Weasley Sister podcast, which is a Harry Potter-based podcast. She and her sister Jessica, I've known online for forever, it feels like. Since probably 2011, which is forever. So I've met her once at Maryland Sheep and Wool, like 7 years ago, and I cannot wait to see her again. She's a great person, great personality, and knows a ton. She's like one of the people where you see their spinning and it's super inspirational. So I get inspired every time I see her, and she does gorgeous bags, and she's always donated to SSK in the past, and I'm so glad she's coming down from Pennsylvania. She's also a PA girl, so that's exciting as well. Teeny Button Studio, who we heard for the first time through Rick last year. He did a kit specifically
have that right here, because I reorganized some stuff
for SSK, and so Leslie and I both had to purchase it.
Yeah. So it's a cool, fun, sort of variegated speckle combo. And this is the stash attack. Like sash.
Yeah, like mustache, because
Yeah.
it came with a mustache bag and some other stuff from Rick in there. So super excited to have her. Fat Squirrel Fiber is going to be there. Amy Beth with all her shenanigans. And if you don't watch her podcast, you totally should. Tuft Woolens, who does the best soap in the world. I've been using her lip balm. I have the marshmallow flavor in my pocket right now because it is incredible, and I've been using it all the time at school. It tastes like marshmallow, like
I like her
icing.
roll-on perfume because it's not too strong.
I have some of that in my bag as well.
Yeah.
And my niece is really like that as well. Laura Nelkin is not only teaching, she's selling her kits that day.
Yep.
So if you want to learn how to knit with beads, she's got tons of great patterns and kits on that. Jerry Brock does the most incredible spindles, Turkish, but also others. And then she's getting into like weaving
Card
shuttles
weaving and
and some very, very cool stuff. Miss Babs doesn't need any introduction because she's amazing. Leading Men, we just love the two of them.
Steve and Andy are wonderful.
And we're so glad they're coming back this year. Fiber Seed, who we had last year, who was super sweet.
We got a lot of great feedback on her.
And she's like 8 months pregnant right now.
Oh my goodness.
They're about to have a baby. Yeah.
I hope they bring the baby. Having Aiden's baby, Fox, there last year was so much fun.
And Aiden's not coming this year just because of family obligations and because his business really lends itself to custom orders and not really for
we love his face, but we understand.
Oh yeah, completely. And then Spotted Circus Alpacas. We've known Elizabeth for forever.
Yeah.
That's who I bought my first drum carder through. She has like a sparkle bar where you can just buy all different kinds of sparkle.
Every time we go somewhere where she is vending, Laura comes with a bag. And it's always impressive.
I buy like 2 ounces of sparkle every single time, and it's all different colors.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not 2 ounces. It's 2 ounces of every color.
No, and then she sells it in like 10 grams, and I just buy like 2 ounces, like 20 bags of sparkle. And she also does self-striping yarn, and she sells a ton of different equipment, including like the Strauch, which is what my drum carder is. I have a petite. And then she also sells...
She's got some really cool blends of yarn, too.
Yeah, she does. And she's, like... She lives on a farm, so she's there firsthand, and she's very involved in the alpaca industry.
And her name is Elizabeth Taylor, so...
How could you resist?
Yeah.
But she is really good people, and I haven't seen her in, like, a year, so I'm excited to see her.
I haven't either.
And then she's also carrying the Firefly, the Spinolution wheels.
Yeah.
As well as some other wheels. So we are going to have... And Two Guys is carrying Kromskis.
Oh, cool.
So we are going to have a great assortment of wheels for purchase this year, which is amazing. More than we've ever had.
From the vendors.
Yeah. More than we've ever had before. Someone put a used Luette up for sale the other day, and I was like, ooh, I could use a Luette. And then I was like, no, this is crazy.
Where would you put it?
There's plenty of room still in my house. If Pearl didn't take up so much room...
Yeah, blame it on the dog.
She does take up a lot of room, yo. So does Humberto. Like, they have a lot of stuff that goes with them.
This is true. Humberto can manage to take up the entire sofa somehow. Humberto's a cat.
Yeah. He's a 17-year-old Maine Coon.
Humberto El Gato Meow. I will never forget that as long as I live.
It's the best name. I came up with that name. Becca named him a stupid name, and I changed it.
When you were 20?
Yeah. Becca got that cat when she was in high school.
Yeah.
And I was at college, so... No, she named him Takata, and when he came to live with us versus with her, then he got renamed. I might have taught a Humberto my first year at Horn Lake.
Oh, okay.
That might be where that came from.
Cool.
He had the same attitude as my Humberto.
This sounds like a cool kid.
Man, I wonder what happened to him. Anyway, because that was back in 2005. That was 12 years ago.
I got divorced in 2005.
Wow.
And met Michael. Because we're coming up on 15 years almost.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
I've been teaching for 15 years this year, right? 5, 4, 3.
Math is not our specialty.
15 years next year. It's crazy.
It's funny. I was applying for a passport today because mine's about to expire anyway.
I need to get a passport because I don't have one.
It was like, what year did you get married? And I'm like, I don't remember. I had to go back and look at my
2 years ago, right?
It was 2015, yeah.
Your marriage certificate, not your birth certificate.
Yeah, sorry, my marriage certificate. I had to go and look. I was like, I don't remember. Anyway, I think that's it.
I remember because it was the same year I had to put a roof on my house.
God.
They showed up, remember, when I was about to leave for the wedding, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I'm not going to be here. I would like to be here when you put roofs on my house. I came back and like 2 ceiling fixtures were shattered. They'd fallen. It's craziness.
Well, we hope that you guys have a lovely week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.